DeCastro fundraises for hurricane victims. His buddy is going to go to Wal-Mart and hand out supplies. Not bogus at all. Floyd Wallace announces he's going to make a baby, even if his next partner hasn't agreed to it. Plus, Regan Benson rages after she gets dissed badly at the Englewood City Council meeting. Again. All this and more on this edition of Auditing Insanity. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast. I'm Jim Finch and I'm going to be your guide through stories on delete laws, DeCastro, Regan Benson, and Floyd Wallace. Content warning. The Floyd Wallace story is quite graphic based on his controversial comment on reproduction. Those statements are reflective of Floyd alone and are presented to be his true feelings on reproduction and the role he'll play in the future with his possible children. We have not embellished his statements, and you can check his live streams for more on his feelings and attitudes. With that, we ask you to focus on Delete Laws holds Hurricane Fundraiser. Returning to his fundraising roots, Delete Laws' Jose DeCastro went live 2 times on Monday as part of a fundraiser he claimed he was holding for YouTuber Alan Hubbs, who would take all the money that was raised and buy groceries with it and personally distribute the groceries to victims of Hurricane Helene, which recently hit North Carolina. DeCastro made the initial announcement of the fundraiser in a Monday afternoon live stream. He gave his fans the notice that instead of giving the money raised to the Red Cross or any of the other established charities helping victims in the area, he would just transfer all the money raised by the fundraiser to Hubbs, who would then go to Wal-Mart, load up his truck, and then personally distribute items how he saw fit. Once the live stream began, DeCastro, as he normally does, began to go off topic. As he raised money, he said that he was embarrassed by the turnout, which saw a total of 93 people attend across all of the platforms he was streaming on. DeCastro blamed the low numbers on a vast governmental conspiracy against him that was too fearful that he would win the governorship of a state he hadn't yet announced and change the world as we know it. That conspiracy was also behind taking down his TikTok accounts in the past and, more recently, deleting his widely popular Instagram account. The YouTuber announced that he had no choice based on the numbers he was seeing last night but to shut down his current Delete Laws account and open a new YouTube channel, promising to do so when he launched his new Constitutional Law Scholar board game later this year. According to DeCastro's calculations, he brought in $1,300 for the hurricane victims in North Carolina in the hour he set aside for the fundraiser. During that time, he also said that when his fans donated, they needed to indicate in the notes fields that they were giving him the money as a hurricane donation, so he could show the money was for a charity on his taxes. DeCastro also again claimed poverty was preventing him from giving more than $100 towards the fundraiser. He said that the conspiracy against his channel started in very early September, and that's when Team DLZ noticed a significant drop in his viewership. He pulled up his YouTube metrics and began to show proof of his troubles since the start of September. As our own readers know, we've been documenting DeCastro's decline and that it began in late August, around the start of back-to-school events. The fall in viewership impacted all the auditors in the field, with a significant drop-off for everyone involved. While DeCastro seems to be the only First Amendment auditor who is still free-falling in average growth since August, an unknown event on the YouTube platform in August at least temporarily flatlined growth for the entire industry. According to Playbill, DeCastro is indeed hurting with his revenue from Super Chats sitting at under $1,900 for the month of September. His donations from last night brought his total for the month up to $600 in Super Chats, which both seem small for a channel that has over 620,000 subscribers. DeCastro has made around $48,000 this year from Super Chats alone. Between the $48,000 and the $57,135 from his GoFundMe intake, DeCastro has made roughly $101,135 from fan-made donations. That's not counting donations from his PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App accounts, let alone the revenue that he's brought in from his Google AdSense off his videos, and his Trifold 5A Cop card and other merchandise sales. Both the original stream announcing the event and DeCastro's actual fundraising live stream have been made private by DeCastro as of press time. DeCastro still has yet to return to the GoFundMe market, which put up goose eggs again for the day with no new revenue taken in by any of the accounts we follow, including our own. On that note, if you'd like to donate to help pay for the pet steps we bought Helen to help her get up on her cat castle, rather than climbing up on our desk and knocking everything over in the process as part of Amazon's deal days, or just to keep the dramatic Jim Finch writing this dreadful column each day, you can contribute to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Regan Benson shut down by Englewood City Council. YouTuber Regan Benson's planned address to the Englewood City Council did not go as planned Monday night, as she disobeyed the rules of the council by refusing to give her city of residence before the city council briefly shut down live commenting and turned off her microphone. Benson apparently used Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz's tactics and pre-named her stream "Mayor Tries to Throw Me Out Again" before entering the city council chambers, indicating that she fully intended to have a problem during her speaking time. As for her actual live, she started live streaming a few minutes before the meeting started on Monday night, indicated that the Englewood Public Library is now the center point of the great dictatorship that runs the entire city. She rehashed her version of events that saw charges of harassing a security guard in the spring of 2024 dropped, as the city of Englewood apparently had no answers to her First Amendment challenge of the policy. A hearing on the library's policy to ban Benson, which had been on hold while charges against Benson were pending, is set for Wednesday. Benson claimed that her lawyer would be vigorously defending her First Amendment rights at the hearing. Benson sat on the table marked media and recorded the city council meeting as there were no chairs in the general vicinity of the table. She swung her legs and mocked the city council in the minutes leading up to her turn to speak. When it was her turn to speak, she took her camera to the podium with her and refused to give her city of origin, talking over Englewood Mayor Nathaniel Sierra, saying it was her time and she was going to speak for 3 minutes regardless of what the city council did. The mayor shut off her microphone and led the majority of the city council out of the chamber, turning off the feed to the live stream and leaving Benson alone at the podium. City council members Rita Russell and Kim Wright, both seen as allies of Benson, remained in the room to hear her speech. Benson essentially berated the policy of the library for banning her and warned that she would no longer allow Englewood to carry through policies that she personally disagreed with. This included the limits on the bathrooms in the public library, as she pledged that she would personally end the policy of requiring a key to use the bathroom. When the city council returned, Mayor Sierra ordered her to vacate the speaking podium as her time had elapsed. She returned to the media table and continued to mock the city council before leaving the chamber and briefly encountering a police officer who was having his dinner break and demanding to know if he was still on the clock during his meal. The aggressive Benson followed the officer and another officer to their police vehicles, berating and insulting them, before returning to her car to ask for prayers for longtime supporter Irish Rover, who has refused to leave his home, which is currently in the path of Hurricane Milton in Florida. Floyd Wallace confirms plans to impregnate next partner. Floyd Wallace's latest livestream on Sunday night saw the YouTuber admit that he was almost too old to be a father and that he had every intention of impregnating his next sexual partner in Colombia, with or without her consent to the pregnancy. Wallace informed his viewers that he had been abstaining for the month in order to save his semen for a rendezvous he was planning with a light-skinned woman he had met online from Colombia, and had instructed her to get an STD test because he was going to her in order not to waste his semen. The YouTuber said that he did not know what the woman did for a living, nor did he care, as he had picked her to be the mother of his future child, claiming that he was turning 29 in December and that his time to be a father was running out, as he did not like the idea that he would be 50 years old when the child turned 20. Wallace said that his relationship with the woman would not be long-term, as he intended on impregnating her, then returning to the United States to face charges for obstruction of an officer in Oklahoma in January if he can get his November court date moved, and then moving on to as many sexual conquests as possible in his possible post-jail extended tour of Brazil. Opening a panel after returning to his new free version of the StreamYard service, Wallace listened to an idea by one of his panelists that he should give up his apartment at the end of the month and put his belongings into storage. Wallace seemed to like the idea, saying he'd put his items in storage in Dallas, Texas, as he was leaving the College Station, Texas area, as it was too hard to find sex with American sorority girls in the area. Wallace also announced that he was moving to South Dakota when he returned to the United States after his sex tours, as the state does not have an income tax. He also assured his fans that he would be finding a remote IT job at some point to maintain his lifestyle, both in the United States and overseas. Turning to his legal woes, he told his panel that he felt his lawyer was trading his blind guilty plea, which Wallace agreed to, where the judge will accept his guilty plea, then be allowed to sentence Wallace to any punishment he feels like handing out, was a trade-off by his lawyer in agreement to get another client off. Wallace said he still intended to fire his attorney in order to get the delay needed for him to stay in Colombia for several months rather than dealing with possible jail time later this year. The YouTuber continued his recent attacks on American women, signaling out black women as being too masculine and too disrespectful for his tastes. He reassured his viewers that he would be taking the time in Colombia to have sex with as many women as possible, briefly forgetting his at least temporary pledge to impregnate the woman he had picked to be the mother of his child. Wallace pushed things further, announcing that he intended to open an OnlyFans with another woman he met online. He assured his fans that the woman was not the stud, and that he would only present pretty women on his live streams in the future. The YouTuber has finally achieved his $78 goal for the second half of the Airbnb costs he had been fundraising for. He then started a new fundraising goal of $287 for his return trip ticket to the United States for his possible flight back to face his criminal charges in November. Strangely, after desperately live-streaming 6 times between Friday and Sunday night, Wallace has again gone silent, with no live streams currently planned. We'll continue our coverage when he streams again. And we're back. We're still under the weather today as we're trying to get back into a regular schedule by the end of the week. We'll be trying an afternoon show tomorrow, and we'll be back in schedule should I be feeling better. Please stay tuned, and good night, everybody.